Okay. Yeah, so as for laws, it changes almost every time. So maybe during their time, it was founded, it was enshrined in their constitution. But even in our constitution, maybe it may not be stated as to sheep, goat, like animal mention of name, fowls, stars, but there are penalty units attributed to almost every sin. So the judges always look at the penalty units which have been attributed for the sin. I hope you get it. So we have almost, let me say, we have the same thing. Just that here we see details like sheep, goat, hen, cock, chicken, fowl, and stuff like that. If a stolen animal is found, what amount of restitution must be made? Yes.
Twice the value.
Please.
Twice the value.
Twice the value of the animal. If the owner of an animal lets his animal graze on another person's field, what is going to happen? What will be done to the owner?
He must the best of his field.
He must what?
Make a restitution
from the best of his field.
Okay, good. As I'm saying, this part seems to be law, but don't worry, we will overcome it very soon. If someone is giving goods from a neighbor for safekeeping and the goods are stolen and the thief is not caught, what procedure should be followed?
come here.
Verse 8.
The safekeeper is to be brought before a judge.
The safekeeper is to be brought before a judge. Is that what you are agreeing on? Yes, so even in our law, it's the same thing that happens. If someone illegally possesses an ox, donkey, or garment, he must make restitution dash times its value. So illegally, if you possess anything, how many times? Verse 9.
2.
2. I think the other way to say double, right? Other way say double, so 2. If one gives an animal to a neighbor for safekeeping and it dies when no one is looking, they must, verse 11.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, wait, there's an answer, no.
Repay double the value of the animal.
Mama, are you sure?
Repay the value of the animal.
Verse 11, no. You are supposed to take an oath because it's stated there. As for this one, that was even clear. Let's read the verse 11 together. An oath by the Lord shall be between them both to see whether or not he has put his hand in his neighbor's property. The owner shall accept the oath and he shall not make restitution. So you are supposed to make an oath to show your ignorance, to show that you are not, you don't have any knowledge of innocence. Very good, innocence. Yes. If one gives an animal to a neighbor for safekeeping and it is torn to pieces by a wild animal, they must. So
must bring evidence.
Must bring evidence. Do we have it there? Mhm.
Bring the other pieces and make no
So
other
the
payment.
evidence is bringing the pieces. I'm sure that you'll be wondering, say, normal way, how could they keep it in their mind? But these were all the laws. That's why we say that the laws were many. If a person hires an animal and he dies while working for him, and he is not present, he must. Mhm. Mhm.
Papa,
Mhm.
hello, Papa.
Yes.
Well, go with
So,
that.
we learned about the 10 Commandments
Yes.
on a tablet.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
on the tablet, or
This ones.
it was expanded by Moses.
And these were given specifically by God to Moses.
But
Aside the
it's
10 commandments,
not
these were supposed
part
to.
of those on the.
No, the 10 commandments, they very know them already. Do not murder, do not steal, do not commit adultery, do not. Those are the 10. But this was for their practical living. So aside the 10, this was supposed even to keep them living.
So it was told to Moses to write them down for the people
Yes.
by God.
Yes. So this was the whole set of other laws.
Okay, I thought maybe I thought maybe Moses expanded the 10 Commandments to cover all this, maybe by the direction of God.
No, it was God who was dictating to Moses.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm beginning to have a feel that these laws came about out of the issues that were happening. So I take it that maybe when something happens, then Moses seek the face of God, and then God give another. That is how I'm looking at it. And then I becomes a precedent.
Yeah.
Down. So let's say that if someone gives an animal to a neighbor for safekeeping, and then it is torn to pieces by a wild animal, what must they do? So maybe this case is brought before Moses. I gave my animal to this fellow. He says a wild animal has come to devour it. What must we do to settle the case? Then maybe Moses go to seek the face of the Lord and goes, okay, bring the owner the pieces, the evidence. If you get the evidence, no, you don't pay anything. And the person comes with the evidence, then okay, no problem. If the person don't have any evidence, then means that since no one was there, you are guilty, you have to pay. I don't know whether you get the whole thing. So to me,
yes.
I think that's what made all these things come. Based on the numerous issues that were coming up, then it was giving them a new law on how to live. Okay, if a person hires an animal and he dies while working for him and he's not present, he must do what?
Make decision for the dead animal.
Restitution.
So make
For the
restitution
dead animal.
for the dead animal. If a person hires an animal and he dies while working for him and he's present, he must do what?
He must
Shall not make restitution.
Must not be responsible.
Not be responsible, as the rental covers the cost.
So you just have to pay for the hiring fee, the rental fee. If a person seduces a virgin who is not pledged in marriage, he must.
if
Must pay
The bride price.
and marry her.
That is it.
And marry her.
So that means that who could repeal be not any panel, yamfani ma will be a yabutia, the trains are no hour. So penny to be repeal. In Pabon is annual.
Papa,
Yes.
I say seduce.
Okay.
So, is there no difference between rape and
Oh,
seduce?
seduce.
Seduce.
Seduce into
They are
better
different.
so harass or not
Yeah.
seduce the man is seduce me, but I see a man seduce. So a man who man seduce. A man is seduce a mema. Now be man to do consider you about nothing. Mempa ebony se nanka we those days o bodamfo bi no akwakoye ne sane am wetua ne tirinsa. Na no bodamfo na betini fi on na be hu se no koye gen. All of the following yes.
This one I think that the seduction here on the part of the man here is talking about usually the antics used by the rapists to lure the girls.
Okay.
These like these days, for instance, we tell you but when you come and he takes advantage of you. Perhaps the seduction in this context is talking about how they get they used to lure the ladies, then get them raped.
Okay. Emu bia ya so ba me de ninya na nkanka nkofu nya bodamfo nyom sa nyemo mo wari omo. That's all. So that we reduce the number of mental patients in our street. All of the following were to be put to death, except a man who steals an ox. Except
A man who steals an ox.
So that means that a sorcerer is supposed to go one having sex with an animal. Okay. Ntoni abo akra da esi yekum. And then yes, nowadays you have been yes upon chimbia.
Hello, we did and can say that's where you power.
Most of them are in the Sharia law. Almost all these things are in the Sharia law, which the Muslims are using. Do you get it? They still kept some of these things, the Sharia law. You find almost majority of these things there. Do you get it? All of the following were explicitly stated as not to be oppressed or taken advantage of, except they were not to be taken advantage of, except alien slavery.
Slaves.
Slaves were not to be taken advantage. Widow. Okay, so it's a slave. Whose cry will God hear and respond with anger and judgment on those taking advantage of them? Widows, foreigners, children, the elderly. Verse 24.
Widows.
Okay. What accommodations were made for lending money to the poor? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are to be charged no interest.
They have to charge no interest. Is that what they're saying? So one of the things is that they are poor. Say you should not be like a money lender. So don't charge interest. So maybe in the church, someone comes and is in need of help. Also for so only about 10%. Hey, awesome being. I saw another microfinance. To be the 10% better so. Anyway, the church.
Does that mean the banks are operating for it?
Anyway, the neighbors.
If it's for a business, you charge.
A neighbor's cloth that is borrowed is to be returned before
Sunset.
Sunset.
Because you be the another common where you swear you would better one and say. Who is not to be cursed? Mhm. Who is not to be cursed? Where there was someone coming to me.
The leader or ruler of the people.
So when
Ruler
you
of the
go,
people.
so what one on a coconut now do dear? O man penny and yambi triani capa. Nami be ye ni say, so you so you can need that means also a boomerang so. MP way, Yamin Kulu, me say, on what day? On what day? What they are so for cry? Yeah, you go for ye, jai. You know, go for ye, yampa. Nana yemu. Now we are me Messiah prayers no abetra so say amen. Mama we shira waje so communion no abenum.
Hello.
On what day were the
Hello.
firstborn to be given to God?
On the 8th day.
8th day.
On the 8th day.
The 8th day.
Aside.
Animals torn by wild beasts were not to be eaten because animals torn by wild beasts were not to be eaten because
the animal
going to dogs
was to be sacrificed.
Because animals were to be sacrificed.
Okay.
Mama?
To be sacrificed, yes.
They were to be a holy people.
The animal was to be sacrificed.
They were to be a holy.
Consecrated.
Let's read the verse 31 again. What does it say?
See, they were to be holy people.
You are my people. So you must not eat the meat of any animal that has been killed by wild animal. Instead, give it to the dogs.
And so the question is that animals that are killed by wild animals were not to be eaten because
We are joining the Wakatin. Eh? You know, I are joining. You know, I know more.
To be holy people.
Because they were to be a holy. Hey. Oh.
Mama. Mama Boko. Mama Boko. Mama meets her.
Don't, I've taken her out. Mama Henrietta. And then one. Kenny about Kenny Bekele. Okay, so the question is that let's read it. Okay, let's you shall be consecrated. Let's go. You shall be consecrated to me. Other versions say you shall be holy to me. Therefore, you shall not eat any flesh which is torn by beasts in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs. And the question is that animals that were torn by wild beasts were not to be eaten because
they were to be a holy people.
Because the people were to be a holy people. Because the first thing is that you are holy to me. Therefore, do not eat these animals being torn by wild beasts. Give it to the dogs. And you have been asked that they are not supposed to eat the animals which are torn by the wild beast because they were a holy people. I don't know whether you get the answer. So it's just like turning the temple.
You know.
Chapter
Papa.
20. Yes.
Papa.
Yes.
Enti kurase nkrama yede omukope enamo nkrama chinama yebere no, is it right?
Is a crama and a wild beast?
No, a crama is not a wild beast.
And so you see a
But
I don't see a benya kisi a massa on your wild beast men finding category no. Yeah, very papa.
They may part of the hunt too.
Yes.
Papa, the crama is also part of the hunt.
Now the require it's a wild beast near farmer crama. Until now then I because the crama a wild beast. That means on your wild beast.
that means
Crama in your wild
sex.
I was a crama in your holy.
There may purchase a crama in your holy tea. Crama in your holy. On your wild beast.
Wild beast.
No, Aquachinama, bro.
On your wild beast.
Bro.
Did they say you should not eat any animal the dog bring to you because the dog is unholy? No. They say a wild beast. And the dog is part of the wild beast.
It's been showing, you know, about what it to do. And also follow within the range.
How do you classify them as wild beasts? These are pets. And grandma your pet. Nana Jania, we are now my Yankee and a boy. At the end, you're buried. I am Mamma, yes.
It's a Ocean Bible.
Chapter 23, Mama Yan to us, and I'm way a berry. I am yes. What is not?
Now, a boy,
What a man, Nana can't question yet you. Nana was a day.
A boy, charity.
So, what is not to be spread in Israel?
False reports.
He said,
False reports. False reports.
We have some people in the church, they spread false rumor and false report. Those people, go sorry. Who were the Israelites not to follow? Who were the Israelites not to follow?
The wicked. The wicked.
The way of the wicked. But the coward doing wrong. The crowd doing wrong. So the verse 2 says that you shall not fall in with the many to do evil, with the crowd to do evil, with the many the majority to do evil. Okay. What's your crowd? Who is listed as one to whom favoritism is not to be shown in a lawsuit? Who?
The poor.
Poor. Okay. Whose wandering ox or donkey must they be sure to take back? According to verse 4.
Your neighbors.
Their enemies.
You said their neighbors. Someone said their enemy. Okay.
Their enemies.
Their enemies.
Their enemies.
Enemies.
To whom is justice not to be denied?
The poor.
The poor.
The poor.
Poor.
Who is not to be put to death, according to verse 7 of Exodus chapter 23?
Innocent person.
Okay. What twists the ways of the righteous? What twists the ways?
Bribe.
Bribe.
A bribe. A bribe. Okay.
Right.
Ghana police.
Who were the Israelites? Who were the Israelites not to oppress? Who were the Israelites not to oppress because they had been in that role before themselves? Yes.
The alien.
Oh, are you sure? The aliens. Are you sure?
The alien.
The
Travelers.
travelers, aliens.
Alien.
What year is the land to lie unplowed? We therefore, question 343. The seventh year.
Seventh.
Who is to eat from the land in the unplowed year? Emrani also in Yanum. Where they keep in na. We are there. I'll be boobies. The
poor.
War.
So the poor.
Poor.
All of the following are listed as getting rest on the Sabbath day, except slave, alien, ox, sheep. On the Sabbath day, who is not to rest?
Sheep.
The ox.
Verse 12.
Ox.
The ox. The ox.
Ox.
Ox. The ox.
Okay. Oh, we have the sheep here. Let me read what it's supposed to be the ox.
The ox is there. Wow.
Do you have ox?
Ox is there.
Yeah, because
the sheep.
So,
It should be the sheep.
read your version that says sheep and let me see.
It says 6 days. 6 days do your work, but the 7th day do not work, so that your ox and donkey may rest.
Yeah, so ox
and so
donkey.
that
So
yes,
sheep.
so that the slave
Sheep is
won't.
not bad.
Yeah, so it's a ox
So
and
it's a sheep.
donkey. People are even confusing me.
It's a sheep.
The answer is sheep.
Do you know you
Provide
have
the sheep.
confused me? There's except. Yes, except.
Yes.
So D, which is absent, should rather be the answer.
Yeah, so all these things, the slave, the alien, all of them are to
They
rest
must
They are also
except.
mentioned.
So it's not the sheep that is not the
You have succeeded in confusing me today. What listed as not to be heard on the list of the Israelites? Verse 13. Not to be heard on the list of the Israelites.
Other ghosts.
The names of other gods.
The names of other gods. Okay. So you're not even supposed to hear them. Well, our time is almost up. Yeah. How many times a year were the Israelites to celebrate a festival before the Lord?
3 times.
3 times.
3 times.
Okay. In what month did the Israelites come out of Egypt?
Abib.
Adewe Andrea
Abib.
Abib. What celebration took place for 7 days, remembering their coming out of Egypt?
Passover.
Passover.
Are you sure?
Feast of unleavened bread.
And that day way you can discuss even what they were supposed to use to prepare the unleavened bread. We even talked about why there was no yeast inside. And then we said that they have to live in a hurry. We discussed all this yesterday. Yes, I'll make us papa me yanka, so na me kind. What feast? And you know, at this level, we have so much on ourselves: family, job, church, other things. Internet, these discussions are good. So I'll be keeping some of the things in mind. Share this thing, I can give it out. What feast was celebrated with the first fruit of their crops?
Feast of harvest.
Are you sure? What feast was celebrated with the end of their gathering of crops?
Feast of gathering.
D.
Okay. The blood sacrifice was not to be offered with what substance?
Fat.
Fat. Are you sure? Yeast. Let's read verse 18. Let's go, verse 18.
18.
Shall not offer the blood of the sacrifice with living bread, or let the fat of my feast remain until the morning.
So offering the sacrifice, the living, and who is having the yeast? The NIV.
Do not offer the blood. Do not offer the blood of a sacrifice to me, along with anything containing yeast.
Yes.
The fat of my festival offerings must
which
not.
version is that?
NIV, Papa.
Yes. So please, tomorrow let's all come with the NIV to help us. Okay.
Okay.
Where were the first fruits to be brought?
House of the Lord.
The house of the Lord. Is it? Are you sure? God's angel was sent ahead of Israel to dash. God's angel was sent ahead of Israel to dash Israel and bring them into the place God had prepared for them. What was the angel saying?
Guide.
Oh, to God. It's not guide or God.
God.
Yes. Guide and God. Guide is what? Lead. Is that not so? And God is to protect. Is that not so? Is that not so?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was found in the angel which God sent to bring them into the place he had prepared for them? What was found in the angel?
The name of God.
The name of God. Isn't it the fire or the holiness or the righteousness of God? It's the name of God. All of the following were listed as God's angel. All of the following were listed as groups God's angel would wipe out in the promised land, except yes, except
The Philistines.
The Philistines. Good. So we'll have to be ending here today. The time is almost up. And then we'll make time for tomorrow. It's my prayer that we are